Central. CBS Sports, your 2018 home of March Madness, the Masters, once and for all, the PGA Championship, PGA Tour, SEC football, the NFL. Remarkable! And February 3rd, Super Bowl 53.
You have to work hard all year to get to this point.
Everybody in the nation's talking about it.
Drama, joy. To see the excitement on Selection Sunday.
It's just a special time.
Nice pass. Stumps it down for the dunk. There's a play. Slashes. And scores. Davidson won back to Rhode Island. The A-10 championship. Houston on to the final against Cincinnati. One more date with possible destiny.
Dozens of teams standing by to see if they even make it into the NCAA tournament at all.
Here we go. Does it get any better than this? Big time jam. Oh, how that? Spectacular. You better believe it.
Tick-tock. If you hear a loud sigh of relief at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight, it might just be coming from that room. That's a look at the NCAA Selection Committee running through all the scenarios so that they can deliver a 68-team field later today. They are on the clock, and that clock is winding down. About 6 hours left. 5 more bids will be secured today. 2 right here on CBS. First, it's Rhode Island and Davidson for the A-10 championship. Then, Cincinnati and Houston battle for the American title. And all 68 teams that make the field will have one goal in mind, a trip to San Antonio to cut down the nets and raise this trophy right here as national champs. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance. Adam Zucker with you from New York, along with 2 guys who cannot wait to see who the committee puts into this year's field, Wally Zerbiak and Danny Granger. Take us all back to when you guys were players and awaiting 6 p.m. Eastern and the selection show.
Well, I can remember I was nervous because we lost in our conference tournament final. So we thought we were going to be in and get an at-large bid, but it was very nerve-wracking to hear our name called and to see that we were matched up with Washington, that we were a 10 seed. I was ecstatic about it, but that's the last team from the MAC, my conference, to get an at-large bid. They haven't had one since.
First of all, that was a long time ago for Wally. Wasn't that long ago for me. But I remember sitting.
It was still long. Not as long, but it was still long.
So we had the automatic bid. I was sitting in the room waiting to announce our seed, and my wife, she looks over and she says, it's my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, she says, Danny, I'm so proud of you. And for me, I don't want to get emotional on TV, but for me, that's what it was, is the validation. All the tour-a-days, all the time you put in after practice, before practice, the ice baths, the surgeries. It's all validated when you make the NCAA tournament, so it's a special moment.
And all those players around the country are feeling those emotions build up for sure today. All right, last night, conference tournament action was non-stop, automatic bids being clinched. Let's go through it all here, Wally. Start us off.
Start us off in the Big 12, West Virginia, Kansas. Malik Newman was on fire. Kansas had 15 threes on their way to another Big 12 tournament title, 2 out of the last 3 years. Now we're going to move on to the Big East Championship, where Ed Cooley had a little wardrobe malfunction. Towel up, Ed.
It's a great look.
And not to dry up. Here at the end of regulation, Providence has a chance to win, but they can't get it to go. And then in overtime, Mikal Bridges takes over for Villanova, who wins the Big East tournament title again.
Moving on to the MAC tournament, Buffalo's Wes Clark scored 26 points, and it included this dagger with less than 5 minutes as the Bulls pull away late to capture the MAC tournament title for the 3rd time in 4 years. And head into the Big Sky tournament, Montana's Kyle Ojine had a memorable evening. He punctuated it with this emphatic steal and then the dunk to help lead the Grizzlies to the Big Sky tournament title.
Now we're going to move on to the ACC over at the Barclays Center. Carolina against UVA. Kyle Guy was getting buckets along with Ty Jerome. This was a close game down the stretch. Devin Hall would add a 3-pointer shortly after as the Cavaliers pay off the regular season title with the tournament championship. Tony Bennett knows how hard that is.
to win a regular season ACC, that's the long haul. That's big. This is tough.
Here we are at the CUSA Championship. The Marshall Thundering Herd against Western Kentucky with around a minute left. Justin Johnson hits a three-pointer to pull the Hilltoppers within a point. Then Western Kentucky would have a chance for the win, but Lamont Bearden misses the layup to go ahead, and the Thundering Herd hold on to the victory. They're heading to the tournament the first time since 1987. The Herd herding to the NCAA tournament.
Roll, Herd. Stephen F. Austin in Southeast Louisiana. Stephen F. Austin's T.J. Holyfield. He led the Lumberjacks with 12 rebounds and 13 points, including that putback. And they once again advance to go dancing. And moving to the Pac-12, Arizona's outstanding freshman DeAndre Ayton, at the receiving end of a beautiful alley-oop, the Wildcats are rolling, and they roll right on past the Trojans.
Yeah, let's go to the WAC now. Also in Sin City, New Mexico State showed no mercy, grabbing the lead in the first half and never looking back as Zach Lofton and A.J. Harris combined for 39 points to send the Aggies dancing once again. Now out to the Big West. The Big West Championship match, the Titans and the Anteaters, and Cal State Fullerton would not be denied. Khalil Ahmad had 3 3-pointers and 23 points, with Kyle Allman providing 26 points and a thunderous two-handed exclamation point for Cal State Fullerton and an invitation to the NCAA tournament for the first time in a decade.
And that was how a long Saturday ended. It began with UMBC upsetting Vermont in the America East title game. Had lost 23 straight to them, and now only 5 bids left on the automatic bid board. And on that note, Kansas and Virginia, among those highlights you just showed, they are conference tournament champs, also regular season champs, and in prime lock spot here for 1 seeds.
Well, what Virginia did is impressive. 17-1 in the regular season in the ACC. They're my first #1 seed and overall #1 seed. And then you got to go with Villanova. The way they closed out that Big East championship, won it at the Garden. They did not win the regular season championship. Xavier did, and that's why I have Xavier as another #1 seed. They have a phenomenal body of work. You can't question their resume. And Kansas. How about Kansas just getting it done? Bill Self, I think that's an incredible coaching job, maybe his best with the injuries he had to deal with. That team is as good of a shooting team as any in the country. Kansas is my 4th #1 seed.
Yours, Danny?
Mine are very similar. I have Virginia #1. Obviously, what Tony Bennett does and their defensive prowess is amazing. No one wants to play that team. We have Nova at #2, just masterfully coached. Jay Wright, he's been there before. He has point guards who know how to lead a team on the court. Sometimes he may not even have to coach the team. Kansas, KU, obviously Devontae Graham, and the candidate for the Player of the Year. They've had a lot of doubters, and they put them all to rest. They've had injuries. Guys have stepped up on the bench. Kansas is a real threat. Xavier, I had them at 3, but with the loss to Providence, I have to drop them down. You would say they blew it.
Trayvon blew it.
But they didn't. They're still a #1 seed.
Almost.
They held on.
All right, and as we said, 5 more teams will be added to the field of 68 today, including the winner of the A-10 championship game. They'll get one of those spots, and Allie LaForce caught up with Davidson head coach Bob McKillop a short time ago.
Coach, you said ultimately the win yesterday came down to making shots. And in your last game against Rhode Island, the threes weren't flowing as generously, but you still won the game. What did you learn about attacking their specific defense?
Rhode Island plays tremendous defense, and the reason we didn't make threes was because of their defense. We have to spread them out, and they're going to hug us on the line, and we've got to make them pay if they're hugging us on the line. And I think we got some people who can do that.
This is the first Atlantic 10 tournament championship game for this group of guys. Why can they be the team that wins it for the first time?
Well, they're playing with great joy. You know, they're really having fun doing this. We wanted to be at our best in March, and I think we've reached that point. And this is an opportunity for us to be on the national stage, and our players are embracing it.
Is there a little bit of Curry magic with this team?
Well, Stephen texted me last night and gave us a little bit of a push and a little bit of an inspiration. So Stephen's dear to our program and will always be the signature of our program.
Best of luck. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, the way they were making threes yesterday, 55%, you would think he's still on the team. When Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, returns, Jerry Palm gives us his last 4 in and first 4 out. And later, a closer look at the driving force behind the Bearcats and the brotherly love shared by the Hurleys. Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, your first-round pick for car insurance. And by Sonic, this is how you Sonic.
There's probably...
I ran screaming like a madman. It was total elation. A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.
There they are, the Northwestern Wildcats. Congratulations to the Norse, their first ever tournament appearance.
Yep, those moments are on the way. Later today, March Madness officially gets underway with the NCAA selection show where all 68 teams will be revealed at 6 Eastern on TBS. And joining us now is Jerry Palm. We text him, we email him constantly. Every day, every night, we want to know who are the last 4 in and first 4 out. This is the last day you have to answer those questions and the most important day to answer. Who are your last 4 in right now, by
Well, at the moment, it is St. Mary's is at the 4th of the last 4 in. Oklahoma, which the wheels have come off for them, but you can earn your trip in November as much as you do in February. Syracuse and Marquette. These 4 teams are the last 4 in, and this could change today because of Davidson playing for Marquette's bid in this bracket.
Right, so Marquette is your last team.
Yeah, Marquette's the last team in.
So they're going to be rooting for Rhode Island, or all those bubble teams are going to be rooting for Rhode Island today.
Yeah, they will. And as far as his last 4 in, that Oklahoma is glaring to me. And I know Wally is very opinionated on that, but this Oklahoma team, they looked so great in the beginning of the year, and everyone was on the Trae Young bandwagon. And, you know, Jerry, you said it lightly. You said the wheels came off. They fell off and are dragging behind the car. This team has just it's really imploded over the last few games.
I'm okay with the other 3. This is the one I have a problem with. They've lost 8 out of their last 10. They do have good wins against Kansas, Wichita State, and Texas Tech. But, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, I've kind of been educated on how it works. It's like a golf tournament. You play good the first 2 rounds, you just fall apart in round 3 and 4, but you still win the golf tournament, you get the championship. That's kind of what's happened with Oklahoma.
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly Bruce Rasmussen's analogy that he gave us on CBS Sports Network the other day when he was in. Yeah, the committee used to care. It was been about 15 years since they did, but they used to care how you finished the season. They don't anymore. The idea is, and I think it was done for the non-majors who usually have to prove themselves in November and December, but they take a holistic look at the entire season, and when you play the games doesn't matter anymore. And that's why Oklahoma could still get in, but they'll probably get a pretty lousy seed.
And, Jerry, you've also said you won't be surprised if any of your last 4 in don't make it or any of your first 4 out.
Every one of these teams.
This is a new year with the quad system, too, right? This is the first year.
Yeah, but don't get too wrapped up in that. I mean, that's just really a way of helping the committee organize the games that each of these teams have played. So they're still going to look in detail at these games.
But that's different than it used to be.
It is, yeah.
They're still going to microanalyze all the games and all the scenarios.
That's why they need a 5-day meeting.
Yeah, that's true. The first 4 out, though, right now, the teams are hoping your calculations are a little wrong.
Yeah, well, the first 4 out, I've got Louisville. And Louisville and Syracuse, basically the difference comes down to Syracuse winning at Louisville. USC and Middle Tennessee are actually kind of tied together because Middle Tennessee is USC's best win. And then Arizona State, which is basically the Pac-12 version of Oklahoma, where the wheels have come completely off. The difference is they're losing to Pac-12 teams that are most likely not going to make the tournament, while Oklahoma is losing mostly to other tournament teams.
And your bracket that's up on CBSSports.com, you have 2 Pac-12 teams projected.
Correct.
Close to 4 with those out. Now, you said the difference between Syracuse and Louisville was head-to-head, but Louisville being your first team out, if not for the fluke loss to Virginia, are they in?
Well, I'm sure Louisville likes to think of it as a fluke, but yes, I mean, that's the thing. If they win that game, if they play the last 9 seconds correctly, Louisville is in this bracket. There's no question about it. And in fact, all of these teams and at least a couple of others, one game could have changed the outcome of their season. A game that they had won or should have won or was favored to win and didn't take care of business has changed the outcome of their season.
And this Middle Tennessee team, in my opinion, you can take the numbers out of the equation. You know the history of their program. You know what they have been capable of. If they had a Duke in front of their name, they would be in this tournament just off.
They'd have an ACC schedule.
They would be there off of name recognition alone.
Yeah, but Duke would not have a resume where Murray State is their best win.
It's not their fault. They're in a bad conference.
Yeah, but they had Auburn, Clemson, and Miami in non-conference play. They had them. They were in competitive games with all three of those teams and couldn't find the W, and that's why they're not in this thing. They actually did have chances that a lot of their peers would like to get and don't get. They had the chances and couldn't come through.
Now, Arizona State is one of those teams like Oklahoma. Phenomenal start to the season, incredible wins. Their resume is pretty impressive up to about mid-January. Right. The wheels started to fall off and they started to lose games. In a tough Pac-12, I got to say, with really good coaches. It's tough to win on opposing teams' home floors in tough environments. Why is this team out with wins like Xavier at Kansas, USC? Xavier's a 1 seed. Kansas is a 1 seed. They have 2 wins over different 1 seeds. Impressive resume right there.
Well, those 2 wins are impressive. The rest of it is not. If Arizona State does make the tournament, they will make the tournament with 9 of their 11 losses against teams that are not going to be in the tournament. That would be a record, and that's why they're out. I mean, when Oklahoma was going in the tank, they're losing to Big 12 teams that are going to be in the tournament, so those losses don't hurt as much. These 2 teams could not be more similar, really, except for the quality of the teams that Arizona State was losing to in the second half of this season.
And there's more than just the 8 teams among your last 4. First, we're out worth debating. Like Notre Dame, I know you're a numbers guy. And the committee has said this is a unique situation.
It is.
How are they going to treat the Fighting Irish?
Well, and really, they've dealt with a lot, because Oklahoma and Arizona State are unique situations, too. We haven't really dealt with that on the committee in a while. Notre Dame, Bonzie Colson missed the middle 2 months of the season. The thing that you can't do is overreact to what Bonzie's a fantastic player, preseason All-American, but when he was on the team at the beginning of the year, they went 10-3, beat a very good Wichita State team on a neutral floor. That's a great win, but they also took 2 of their 3 worst losses of the season, Ball State at home and Indiana in Indianapolis, and then they struggled without him. But really, if you look like at the RPI numbers, with him and without him, they're almost identical, and they're both in the mid-60s. So
but played different teams, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's a strength of schedule. That's why it's different, right? But Bonzie Colson, the team performed about the same with him as without him, even though I think we all sort of know they're definitely going to be better with a guy of that caliber. The problem is it doesn't show up on the resume, and you do at some point have to earn it. They just can't assume, well, they would have won 5 more games if Bonzie Colson played.
Yeah, hard to project it all. All right, that's your job. Jerry Pollum, thank you so much. Looking forward to spending the day with you. All right, when Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, returns, a closer look at the second game of our championship doubleheader as Cincinnati and Houston battle for the American title.
Madness begins with the selection show later today.
Evans, that style. He's playing. Taking over big time. What a finish. Davis, another one. Houston on to the final against Cincinnati.
Just 1 game away from the American Championship, the Cincinnati Bearcats also have their sights set on securing a number 2 seed later today. If they get there, it will be on the back of Gary Clark. His numbers and accolades speak for themselves, but despite all the senior has already accomplished, he's not done yet.
Gary Clark winning Player of the Year in the American. It is a testament to what the other coaches think about his impact on our program and why Cincinnati wins.
Clark tough. Zuri down low for Gary Clark. Here's Evans out to Clark. Clark knocks it in.
Being named Defensive Player of the Year, I was honored, excited. Next day, to find out, I was Player of the Year, and then along with the Sportsmanship Award, to have the coaches in our league really vote for me, it means a lot.
He's good. Rotation's good. He's making shots. He's so athletic.
Hey, Keith!
Gary grew up at a real early age.
Face, Jake! Go, Jake! Go, Jake!
Almost being a father to his younger brother and sister.
I've been a mama's boy for a while. All these moments and accolades all adding up, and just knowing that she's proud to say, like, hey, that's my son. From being a single mother, raising 4 kids, and I've always just kind of, taking that backseat role to my younger siblings. And then when I got older, it kind of changed a little bit, still being that role model and, having to help them and do things for them. It kind of, I guess, translating to my game a little bit.
He's soft-spoken. He's a great teammate.
He's kind of quiet, but he's a leader by example. I feel like that just goes to showing that he has a great character on and off the court.
Clark banks it home.
He excels in all three facets.
He rebounds, he blocks shots, he gets steals, he gets assists.
He's a star player, but he also can do the glue guy stuff. And each year, taking the summer and just really locking in on things that, I didn't do well my freshman year. And then after that, my sophomore year, just constantly getting after it. And freshman year, I couldn't throw it in the ocean. I didn't even take the three. And now I'm, shooting a good percentage from three. I'm being efficient offensively and defensively.
Harry Clark underneath scores.
This has been my fourth year going to conference tournament and then NCAA tournament. We've had goals set since last year, one in the regular season conference, one in the conference championship, tournament conference championship, and then getting out of the first weekend, going to the Final Four. Each week we trying to reach new goals at this point because it's win or go home.
Getting better every year. Another double-double yesterday. They're going to miss him when this run is over, and such a key part, Danny, of that Cincinnati defense.
Yes, that's the type of defense, when you walk into the gym, you look over and you say, uh-oh, it's going to be a long night for us because you have so many adjectives to describe this team. I'm going to create a word picture for you. Swarming, relentless, tenacious, ambitious. This is a team that actually enjoys playing defense. They're encouraged to get their hands on balls. The guards attack the post players. That looked like a volleyball spike right there. This team defensively is one of the reasons why they're in the position that they're in.
Yeah, they allowed only 18 points in the second half against Memphis yesterday.
Yeah, now another team that enjoys playing defense is Houston. They'll get after it on that end of the floor, but they also got a guy that can score the basketball big time, and boy, did he do that yesterday with 33 big points. He had 4 threes. He was in attack mode the whole game, got to the free throw line 15 times, made the clutch steal at the end of the game to help get his team over the hump against the Shockers. He was phenomenal yesterday. Now, we know he's going to be the main guy that Cincinnati's going to zero in and try to slow down on the scouting report. That means Devin Davis has to step up and Corey Davis Jr. has to shoot the ball very well today if Houston wants that type.
Yeah, hard to score 33 on Cincinnati. Again. All right, coming up next, we are joined by Radford, the Big South champs, thanks to some hardwood heroics in last week's title game. But first, time for another edition of Infinity's Hardwood Heroes.
Everybody in the building standing. 2 seconds. Jones, 3 for the win. Got it! They got it! Radford wins it! At the buzzer! And the Highlanders go dancing for the 3rd time in school history. Unbelievable!
And what a moment. Radford is making its first trip to the NCAA tournament since 2009 and 3rd overall. And joining us now, the man who hit the big shot to win the Big South, Carlik Jones, and head coach Mike Jones. Guys, thanks for being with us. Carlik, you hit the shot that every kid dreams about hitting, visualizes it in their driveways, and then you went and did it. Was it like you always imagined, and how many times have you watched it back?
Yes, sir. It's definitely like I always imagined. I've watched it plenty of times, probably too many times to count, but I definitely watched it a lot. Maybe every time I pick up my phone, I watch it.
Now, Coach, I've heard that isn't the play that you drew up. Honestly, tell us, did Carlik just go rogue on that play and make it happen?
No, we just tried to run a double high ball screen and slip those guys out of there, and Carlik noticed right away that one of the guys wasn't where he's supposed to be, so he was trying to get him up there, but at some point he realized he had to just go and get that shot off before the time ran out. But it's kind of what we envisioned, but I certainly didn't envision an NBA plus range 3.
Now, Carlik, you were not highly recruited out of high school. That's okay. I wasn't either. I was kind of a little bust. You probably were better than me, actually. But did you ever envision that you could be in this position to advance your team into the NCAA tournament in such a big moment?
Honestly, no, not being able to hit a shot to send my team to the tournament, but I definitely always believed and dreamed that I could make it to the Division I level. But I definitely never dreamed I always dreamed of making the shot to send my team, but I never believed that I'd get that chance.
Now, Coach, obviously that was a huge shot Carlik made, but what else has he meant to the team in his first season this year?
Well, it was a big benefit that he was able to redshirt last year and just practice with the team and lift and get stronger. But we knew from last year that he had two things that are vital to being a great player, and that is he's a very competitive dude. He wants to win every time he steps on the floor, whatever drill it is or game. He has no fear with that. And he also has a very high basketball IQ, and that is the part that really helped our team this year and gave us, he made a difference with our team with his competitiveness and his IQ.
Now, Coach, the viewing party, obviously this is something that all the players are going to be looking forward to. Do you have anything special planned in mind, or is it just business as usual, get our seed and enjoy it as it comes?
No, we will be getting together over in the Bonnie, which is a student center on campus, and hopefully our students will be coming back tonight from spring break, and they'll be fired up and come in there with us. But just be a lot of, good times, laughs, hugs, and, just really anticipating the blessings that God has given us to go and play in this tournament. So we're just really excited to be able to, enjoy this moment together.
Sounds like a fun time. And, Coach, you've done this before. You were an assistant at VCU for that run under Shaka Smart to the Final Four. What experiences from that run will you draw on as you prepare your team for the tournament?
Well, working with Shaka was an amazing experience. I learned so much. And he, the thing that he did with our team was he just talked about having a good time, enjoying the moment, enjoying the experience. And, I'll tell you, we had a great time, coaches and players together. And so we've tried to adapt that here all year long. And we're certainly going to do that for these next few days, wherever we get to go. And, whoever we get to play, we're going to have a good time. I guarantee you that.
All right. May the fun continue. Thanks for letting us keep up with the Joneses for a few minutes today. Congratulations to both of you and everything that you were able to do at Radford this year. We appreciate your time. When Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, returns, it's the March Gospel, according to John Rothstein.
We dare.
So a 14 seed can beat a 3, and we know a 15 has beaten a 2. But the one thing that has never happened in the history of the NCAA tournament is a 16 seed beating a 1. Our college basketball insider, John Rothstein, joins us now to proclaim what will happen. It's time for the March Gospel according to John Rothstein. The pulpit is yours.
Thanks, Adam. One thing that's definitely going to happen in the NCAA tournament is Mick Cronin's Cincinnati will return to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2012. Mick Cronin has told me repeatedly this season that he has talked to his team about the importance of seeding. One of the reasons why Cincinnati is set up to get back to the second weekend, they will have their best seed under Mick Cronin. Meanwhile, we're always looking for names of players to erupt in the NCAA tournament. One name to put on your list, Gonzaga's Killian Tilly. Look at what he did last week in 3 games at the WCC tournament. 13 of 14 from 3, 28 of 36 from the field. Tilly, a name that will become a national name over the next couple of weeks. And one team that's always a national name in March is Michigan State. The Spartans will be a trendy pick to go to the Final Four later today. And the Spartans will downshift to a smaller lineup in the NCAA tournament with Miles Bridges at power forward. Talking to the staff over the last couple of weeks, they love this small ball look. And even though Michigan State has one of the best front courts in college basketball, the Spartans might be better with Bridges at the 4. Who is the team that could pull an upset in the round of 64? Look at Bucknell. Nathan Davis, the head coach of the Bison, telling me this week that an arduous non-conference schedule, which featured games at Arkansas, Maryland, and North Carolina, have prepared the Bison for battle. Another thing you have to love about Bucknell, their top 5 scorers are juniors and seniors. And obviously, this is the time of year where the coaching carousel always spins. No name on the coaching carousel will be hotter this March than Rhode Island's Dan Hurley. Multiple sources have already told me that Hurley is on a short list at UConn and Pitt. He will be in demand at the end of Rhode Island's run, which obviously could last a very long time. This is a program builder, as evidenced by the work he's done at him at Wagner and, of course, Rhode Island.
All right, John, great stuff. And, yeah, by the way, UConn is open, and Danny Hurley is looking good. All right. Great to have John Rothstein on the show, and now we're sending it down to the guys in Atlanta as they prepare for the NCAA selection show. Ernie Johnson and Seth Davis, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Adam. How are you? It's welcome to this cavernous Studio D here in Atlanta, where we will have a 2-hour selection show at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. We will have a live studio audience, Seth, of roughly 200 college basketball fans here. And in the first 10 minutes of the show tonight, you will know all 68 teams who are in the field, and then we will break it down region by region and take deeper dives. But in the first 10 minutes of the show, you're going to know all 68 teams. We look forward to it. First time TBS has had a chance to do the selection show. We're excited about it. Our 8th year working with our friends at CBS. Good to see you again,
How about that? Good to be seen this time of year. How about that?
Yes, it's always good. Hey, look, I'm hearing a lot of stuff this year that the committee is considering, quadrants, you know, and can you explain to the layman and to the guys?
You want me to dumb it down?
And please, if you would.
Here's the short answer. Don't even pay attention to it. It's very inside baseball. Basically, they've come up with a system that helps them organize the information that they've always looked at. And it's a way to emphasize road games, which is something that they have always done. So instead of saying what a team's record is against the top 50 of the RPI, they've rejiggered it a little bit. So you see, if that team is ranked in the top 75, but it was a road game, they move it into quadrant 1. It's an easier way to organize what they do. It's a little bit easier way for us to talk about it. So when we see a quadrant 1 win, we know those are important wins. But the bottom line, Ernie, is switching to this quadrant system has no bearing on teams that are getting in or out or where everybody's seated. It's information they have always looked at. So fortunately, at 8 o'clock today, we don't have to talk about quadrants anymore.
This day always brings varying degrees of apprehension depending on where you stand. Obviously, you're going to have 32 automatic qualifiers. They know they're in. They don't know exactly where they're going yet. A lot of those at-large teams know they're going to be in, but don't know where they're going. But who's really nervous today? Who can't wait for 6 o'clock to get here?
Well, this is what I would describe as a pretty typical bubble. So the way I see it, Ernie, we've got 14 bubble teams for 7 spots. And as far as I'm concerned, if you are on this list, I don't want to hear any complaining because you have put the game in the hands of the rest. Everybody wanting Middle Tennessee to be in. I'd love to see them be in. They don't, in my view, have the wins. I think, frankly, that'd be a little bit of a political pick. But
lost that Southern Miss game in the tournament when they were the favorite to win the tournament.
Don't complain about it. Same thing with Oklahoma State. Everyone's saying, oh, they got a quality wins, 2 wins over Kansas. A lot of losses. Oklahoma doesn't have nearly as many bad losses, but certainly they played poorly down the stretch. And how about Arizona State? I think we have a situation. I got Arizona State as my last team in right now, which means if Davidson beats Rhode Island, that's one less at-large spot on my board. Arizona State's out. So Bob Hurley, the Arizona State coach, really rooting for his brother Dan Hurley and his team to win today.
Take me through the Notre Dame situation.
I've never seen anything like it, to be honest, where you have a team that is a genuine bubble team with a player as good as Bonzie Colson, who probably would have been a first-team All-America caliber player, gone for most of the season, coming back at this time of the season and playing well. However, keep in mind that Notre Dame lost 2 pretty bad, not great losses with Bonzie Colson at home to Ball State and on a neutral court to Indiana. The way I come down is I'm just looking at Notre Dame's resume, and I'm not factoring in Bonzie because they have not done enough. If they were this close to being in, I'd put them in because of Bonzie, but they haven't been, and I think they're going to be out.
Let me throw just one nugget at you as we get it back to New York. Look, we know Auburn's going to get in for the 9th time in school history. Here's your nugget for the day. Every year that Auburn has been in, they have won at least one game, except for 1984 when Charles Barkley made his only appearance at the tournament. I was going to save that until Charles got here, but I'll
repeat it.
I'll throw it back at him.
That can't be the only time
when he gets here. Charles and Kenny will be here. Clark Kellogg's going to be here. Greg Gumbel's going to be here. We look forward to it at 6 o'clock Eastern time. And now we get it back to New York and a guy who takes you through college hoops from A to Z, Adam to Zucker. Take it away, Adam.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you, Seth. You should definitely reuse the Barkley Nugget when he's in the studio. And Seth, Jerry Palm's jealous. You get to do 7 and 7. Again, a reminder: March Madness officially gets underway with the NCAA selection show. All 68 teams will be revealed at 6 Eastern on TBS. And when Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, returns, we'll delve deeper into the strong bond the Hurley brothers share both on and off the court.
There's always been this deep relationship that was forged through this incredible commitment that we made to basketball that my dad set. The life in sports, it's unique. You experience so many different types of emotions, and I couldn't imagine another way to live.
We go marching through the bracket and take an in-depth look from Selection Sunday on NCAA March Madness Bracket Breakdown. Tonight at 8 on CBS Sports Network.
Bounce pass, two-handed jam for 3. It's good. One more date with Destiny. Step back 3 down. It's gone. Count the bucket, Rhode Island.
Coming up next, it's the A-10 championship, and Allie LaForce caught up with Rams head coach Dan Hurley a short time ago.
Coach, you're facing off against Davidson today, who you split with in the regular season, but lost to most recently on March 2nd. What do you have to do differently this time around?
They probably finished the game better. They've played like an NCAA caliber opponent for the last couple months. They've been, with us in St. Bonaventure, they've been at the top of the league, clearly separated from the rest of the pack. They're an NCAA caliber team. We played really well at home, and we controlled the game at their place, too. We just didn't finish. So our defense has got to be at a high level to guard that team, and but we're very confident coming in.
Speaking of finishing, you looked almost invincible during most of the conference schedule, lost 3 of 5 down the stretch. How did those losses reset this team to be ready for this tournament run?
Well, I think every team needs some adversity during the course of the season. We were lucky enough that it was only basically a game in 40 seconds for us. So, we had a bad week over the course of almost a 5-month season. But hopefully that gets our edge back, and that's what makes us who we are.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Thanks, Allie.
Their edge. As we just heard, Dan Hurley and Rhode Island seem more than ready to repeat as A-10 champs. Across the country, his older brother Bobby, now head coach at Arizona State, will surely be watching and cheering him on. The two have successfully built Division I programs, and as Dana Jacobson explains, it is an effort and result that seem destined.
We fell in love with basketball at a very young age, and it's the thing in my life besides being a parent and a husband. It's what gives me my meaning. Perfection drill. Let's go. Perfection. Here we go. I grew up with the game, played it at a high level, and wasn't sure, how coaching would compare to playing. I felt like, I was born to do it.
Basketball is in the Hurley DNA. Their father, Bob Sr., is the Hall of Fame high school coach from legendary St. Anthony's in Jersey City, New Jersey.
It started when they were little kids, and as all the kids were recruited at St. Anthony's, they were always around it. The coach's table in the house, when you order pizzas and the coaches all come over and you sit down and you get ready before the season to start doing things, they were always hanging around because the assistant coaches were like, they were like uncles to them. I always felt like I thought the game better than I could kind of play it physically or athletically, just with my background with the household I grew up in, the osmosis of becoming a coach with my dad. You're around the sport much earlier, and the last thing is they're both point guards. Point guard's always an extension of the coach.
And into the lineup, here comes Danny Hurley. Well, the dream of a childhood, brother against brother in the NCAA regional.
A watershed coachable moment came as players. The two brothers faced each other in the 1992 NCAA regional semifinals.
This is an exciting and a stressful time for the Hurley family.
It was one of the worst experiences that I've had playing.
Tell you what, that was the most intense experience in sports of my life.
Their father will not let the two boys play one-on-one against each other. The reason he won't let them play one-on-one is because they get into fights.
I always tried to find an edge when I played against someone.
You know, and PJ threw me into it because I think he might have doubled my minutes up that game because he knew what it did to Bob on the court.
To make myself not like the guy I was competing against, and it was virtually impossible to do that.
And Hurley against Hurley as Danny Hurley has come back in now.
The worst game Bob played in college because he was just completely psyched out. All those experiences, they make you who you are. To try to, to chase that ghost of what my brother was accomplishing. All while I was going through that struggle, it was just becoming this incredible strength for me that was building up. And it served me well throughout the rest of my life.
The brothers' collegiate coaching careers began at Wagner College, just across the river from Jersey City, where older brother Bobby was Dan's assistant.
Watching the two of them coach together was great. It was unbelievable.
I always naturally thought that I would get right into coaching. When I was done playing, I never anticipated that I would take it to the NBA level, and so that kind of threw the timetable off some.
And then we were a heck of a tag team for a couple of years.
This is a thank you from me to you for the season you've given me.
Let's get it simple. Get it simple.
Now, while Dan and Bobby build programs at opposite ends of the country, they've never been closer.
We talk 5 days a week, maybe 6, in season. Usually, I think we give each other Sunday off. We're constantly talking with each other about our teams and our season. It's great to have someone that's going through what you're going through and can appreciate the struggles and the success.
It never feels like we're ever having a forced conversation. It always seems like there's a lot to cover.
It's exciting that he's doing so well. I took so much pride to watch him win the A-10 championship last year and go to the NCAA tournament and see him win the first round. It was just, I felt like I was living it with him. It was a great feeling.
There's always been this deep relationship that was forged through this incredible commitment that we made to basketball in a real intense environment that my dad set. The life in sports, it's unique. Your highest highs and your lowest lows all play out in front of thousands of people in live attendance, and you experience so many different types of emotions, and you're doing it with people that you're so close to. I couldn't imagine another way to live.
Fantastic story, Dana. And, Bobby's going to be rooting extra hard for Danny today because Arizona State's right on that bubble. Imagine if they were paired up 7-10 game. But coaching against each other would be like nothing compared to what we saw there from that tournament matchup.
Well, no question. They're two guys that came out of the womb with their backs against the wall. But here's the beautiful thing about this relationship. I'm at an Arizona State practice earlier this season, and Bobby said, remember, Bobby was Danny's assistant. I still use 60% of our practice drills from what I learned under my brother at Rhode Island and Wagner. And, Bobby was the better player all those years, Danny in the shadows, but right now just a beautiful relationship between brothers.
And it's just, like you mentioned, it's so interesting the way Bobby needs Danny to win to have a chance to get into the NCAA tournament. And they talk every day. It seems like during the season, they're so interwoven. And then to have this storyline on our air today coming up is just so intriguing. Basketball is in my blood because of my dad, because of my family. It trickles down, and it's unbelievable the way the Hurleys have come together.
I always appreciate my basketball heritage from my father. Didn't play anything, but he taught me a lot of the stuff that I know. So obviously their father did something correct, because they have a great bond that they've maintained to this day. They fought when they were younger. They love each other as adults, and that's a credit to the father.
Awesome. All right, great stuff. And, of course, Danny's team getting ready to take the court. And we'll be back in a moment to wrap things up and get you set for tip-off of Rhode Island and Davidson for the A-10 championship.
Augusta National is the best place I've ever been. The Masters on CBS.
Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, your first-round pick for car insurance, and by AT&T. Welcome back. Peyton Aldridge helped pave the path for Davidson's run to the A-10 championship game. The Wildcats' leading scorer put up 24 points and shot 6 of 7 from 3 in yesterday's semifinal win over St. Bonaventure. For Rhode Island, Jeff Doughton's double-double of 16 points and 10 assists yesterday against St. Joe's was the driving force behind the Rams' road to the title game today in D.C. and here on CBS. All right, Rhode Island and Davidson is moments away, but one championship game already in progress. The top 2 seeds in the Ivy League meeting. Number 2 Penn at the Palestra against top seed Harvard. Penn's Darnell Foreman having a huge first half, but then Harvard on a 20-4 run, Danny.
They were absolutely on fire. That's the jump hook there. And then Seth Towns, he blocks Caleb Wood, and Harvard's rolling. They went on a 20-4 run in this game. Quite amazing, but here comes Penn. Ryan Bentley knocks down the three-pointer, and then with the first half coming to a close, Penn's Darnell Foreman with the 3. 34-32, Penn.
He is the Foreman, all right. He has 19 of Penn's 34 points at the half there, and they will be the first to join this board of bids. 5 more today, 2 of them right here on CBS, ending with the American Championship. And, of course, we begin with the Atlantic 10 Championship. Rhode Island and Davidson the potential bid stealer in this situation, Wally.
Yeah, they have a lot of motivation, obviously. They need to get this win in order to get to the NCAA tournament. Rhode Island already safely in. Peyton Aldridge and Kellen Grady, they have to play very, very well today. As a team, they made 16 threes yesterday. Aldridge and Grady played almost 40 minutes. Rhode Island's going to send a lot of guys at them. They have a really deep backcourt, Danny, so they're going to have to weather that storm. I don't know if they have the legs to do it, but they got a lot of motivation to get into the NCAA tournament.
Well, either way, it's going to be a fun matchup. This Rhode Island team, they have to be careful to not get on cruise control. They know they have a guaranteed seed in this tournament. They squeaked out the win against St. Joe's, a good St. Joe's team, but they have to make sure this is a very, very big game for them. This can influence their seed.
And what is the difference in mentality between the two sides of the court right now, then, like you said, because Davidson did it yesterday against the team that thinks it's in the tournament with St. Bonaventure. If you know you're in versus you know you got to hit big shots.
Well, you just got to trust Bob McKillop's offense. It's a thing of beauty. They move the ball as well as any team in the country. They share it. They assist on almost every single basket, and they can flat out shoot the lights out. That's what they're going to have to do again.
And either way, these teams have to remember it's not going to get better than this. This is the time that they will remember for the rest of their lives. So have fun.
Have fun. And shoot 55% from 3.
There you go. And win. And win. Have fun and win.
That's the Danny Granger I know.
Have fun, but win at all costs.
Always.
We will see you back here at halftime. Davidson and Rhode Island for the A-10 Championship is next after this message and a word from your local station.
Live news, scores, and highlights. Streaming free across devices 24/7. CBS Sports HQ.